Okay, we are live. Hi, this is the
I
Saturday
don't know what to
service.
say.
It is January the 25th, 2025. I'm Rabbi
Oh,
Brian. I'm
I
joined by
don't
a
know
group
how
of
to.
people, um, joined by a group of people who I encourage to have to stay off mic. There's the people. I'm having a little bit of a hard time just spotlighting one person today. So um, take a good look at all the faces because I'm not sure I can keep showing them. Um, So good morning. Let me zoom in so I can see all. I want to be able to see all the people on my screen. Hello, people. Oh, I have more
Hello.
than one screen full of people. Hello, all the people. Hi, Chad and Lisa and Steve and Alice and Jordan and Michael and Ray and Betsy Ann and Rebecca and Carol and Alexia and Candace and Betsy and Doug and Naola and Al. And who did I not, Mr. Rogers, say hello to yet? Jack and Alma and Bob and Candace, Maria and John and Lori and Dan and Harold and Connie and Holly and Emily and Meg and Maria and Mary. Glad you guys are all here. This is not a backdrop. This is real. I'm in an actual I'm in an actual location. I'm at my friend Lisa's house in Venice, California. I have a bar mitzvah that I will be attending in about. I'll be leaving here and getting ready to go to that. It is a B mitzvah. It is not a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah. This is a decidedly gender neutral child, and it is the child, the eldest child of the first person who I served as a mentor for. So it's extra special, and I'm very emotional and taken by it. Speaking of emotional and taken by, I have some announcements to make. What I want us to do, I want us to talk about kindness. I realize that we don't have any, usually we don't have a directive of what we're talking about. And I want us to talk about kindness, kindness towards others, kindness towards for ourselves. We were just discussing, and I started a little bit late because I was looking at this quote with people. And thank you to Jeff for sending this in. Now I have made it that I can't get this off my screen. There we go. The answer to the question, how are you? I'm fine, I think is lacking. We're not we're not fine, except when we're feeling fine. And I say, why say fine if you're afraid, bothered, calm, delighted, excited, frustrated, grateful, hopeful, irate, joyous, lamenting. So I want you to take a moment, if you would, to think about how you are and to I'm not
Frustrated,
well.
not irate,
I'm not well.
frustrated.
I'm having a hard time, and I imagine that I'm not the only one. And there's something, I think that's why we gather together. So we gather together to offer each other support, either by words, by a look, or just by being. And in, I'm feeling emotional just doing this myself, is to look at the people on the screen. Look at and Maria, I'm going to try to see if I can't get there. The best I can do for today. And look at the people and know that all of these people, just like you, are having an emotional response to the world around them. That's what it means to be alive, is to have an emotional response. Rocks don't have emotional responses to the world around them.
Okay.
Cats have an emotional response to the world around them. People have emotional responses to the world around them. And I'm having an emotional response to the world around me. Um, how are you doing? I don't mean that rhetorically.
Mediocre.
Mediocre. How are you doing? I'll give you up to 10 to 20 words for an answer. You don't have to sum it up in one word. But how are you doing?
Terrific.
I'm glad Rob is feeling terrific. Jordan,
Disappointed.
disappointed.
Mhm.
Al,
Terrified.
Full of mixed
Sit,
emotions.
full of mixed emotions. Filled. Filled is a feeling. You can feel filled. I heard you, Ruth. Can you repeat yourself? I thought
I'm
I heard you.
terrified.
One more try, Ruth, and I promise not to talk until you're done.
I'm a refugee. And every fiber of my being is screaming, run. But I can't run because there's no place to run to.
It's
Thank you,
always
Ruth.
Canada.
I'm gonna ask this that we keep our. Um, often people will say something and they'll even ask a question and they'll say, "I don't know what to do about this," and we very sweetly and kindly try to fix their problem. I'm going to ask us not to do that, to just sit with people wherever they are, not to fix them, just to hear them. Go ahead, Harold or Connie.
Livid.
Livid.
Yep. Just absolutely livid.
Yeah. Show of hands, how many of you feel that rage, low level rage racing through your body?
Not necessarily low level.
Yeah. Yeah. Meg, I'm going to out you. You took up boxing again.
Not again.
You took up.
All I'm doing really is punching I call it a body bag, and everybody gets excited because they think it's the zippered kind, but it's not. It's one of those boxing bags, and I have ordered secondhand from eBay, thank you, eBay, some boxing gloves. And I have found 15 minutes of punching that bag and throwing a medicine ball down, I mean, slamming it, um, really has helped me. I mean, I'm under some stress even without the political situation, but the political situation is not de-stressing me. So I am really enjoying doing this. I've done it 3 times this week, and I plan to go twice this weekend.
Thank you, Meg.
Sure.
Getting it out is an important thing to do. Sitting with our discomfort and just swallowing it and being a good and not disturbing people, it's not healthy. We have to get through, and that was the article I sent out on Monday was about getting through. Maybe that was last Monday. I get confused because I've already scheduled the one for this week, so I apologize. Anyone else? I have an announcement to make. Anyone else want to do a quick check-in on how they're doing? I have an announcement. It goes like
Carol.
this.
Carol.
Oh, go ahead, Carol.
I looked up what it is to be an expat in the American colonies in Mexico. They have a magnificent president who is not only a woman, is not only Jewish, who is not only a climate scientist. And you can go to Mexico and get a permanent visa in only one day. And there are 5 different expat colonies in Mexico, and they all speak English, and they cost 50% of what it costs to live here.
Thank you, Carol.
Huh.
It's a
Interesting.
It's a
My
great,
goodness.
great solution. Anyone who's looking for an answer. Thank you, Carol. Here's my announcement.
Okay.
It's okay not to be okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Y'all get that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a shitty fucking time right now. And if you're okay, I'm worried. If you're okay right now, I'm a little worried. But if you are okay, God bless you. I don't want to take that away from you. Let's move to Lori's learnings. See what you got, Lori. Lori is a religion outside the box intern, the best intern we've ever had.
The only intern you've ever had. But thank you. Thank you.
TMI.
I thought the universe was speaking to me, and I thought I would tell you all about it. I was listening to just a fun podcast, Smartless. I don't know if anyone listens to it. It's just random interviews with different celebrities, and I'm trying to keep my mind off things, so I've been listening to it because it's funny. And Tiffany Haddish was on there. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And she was talking about giving back to her community. And she said something that I thought was really, really good. She said what she wished for, what she wishes for is what she wants to give back. So she looks at what her wishes for the world are, and that's what she tries to make happen when she gives back. And then I'm just randomly scrolling through these celebrity interviews, and I went to another one. It was Michael Moore, and they weren't in order. They were months apart, and I just randomly did it. And within a few minutes of being in the Michael Moore one, he said that his goal is to create the world we wish we had. And I thought, and that kind of goes along with the hope thing that we were talking about. And I thought that that was really amazing that I heard the same thing from two people months apart, and it was just random. And so I wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. There's a great quote from Gandhi who says, "In oh, well, there is a great quote from Gandhi. Imagine the world. Wait, somebody help me out.
There's
Be the change you want to be.
Yeah, be
That's
the
the
change
one.
you want to see in the world.
Be the
Yeah.
change
Be
you
the
want
change you
to
want to
see in the
see.
world. Thank
Yeah,
you.
be
I
the
think that
change you want
fits
to see in the
exactly with
world.
it.
Yeah, be the change
Okay,
you want to
we
see.
got it. We got it. Yay, yay, team. The people who are here in the room where I am just said, yeah, I like that quote too. So go ahead, Lori. What else you have for us? Is that it?
That was all. That's all I got. I've been.
Lori,
That's
let me give you complete kudos. We've been doing Lori's learnings and saying that there were 3 things that you learned, and I love that you're like, nah, I got one and I'm done. That's fantastic. Especially Lori, and maybe I missed it, but the rest of you could be my ears. Did anyone hear Lori apologize for not doing the assignment exactly as asked?
No.
Right? That's
Yeah.
Did
amazing.
I not? Oh, that's
You didn't.
good. That's
Right. No. It's good you didn't apologize, Lori. We're
yeah.
proud of you.
I'm getting Americanized. not being so Canadian and apologizing for everything.
Not sure we want you to be full on red-blooded American.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lori. Let me bring up this quote. Would you unspotlightify me, please,
Oh,
Maria?
yeah.
Here's a quote from Lord Jonathan Sacks, who was a rabbi, chief rabbi in England, and he said the following. He said, "Optimism and hope are not the same. Optimism is the belief the world is changing for the better. Hope is the belief that together we can make the world better. Optimism is a passive virtue, hope an active one. It needs no courage to be an optimist, but it takes a great deal of courage to hope. The Hebrew Bible is not an optimistic book. It is, however, one of the great literatures of hope."
Beautiful.
Let's stay hopeful.
That's a really nice distinction, Brian, between a more passive state and a more active state.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hope is a thing with feathers. Emily Dickinson.
Thank you for adding that. I can't say I recognize whose voice that was.
That's Melissa Pickford, Melissa in Monterey.
Melissa Poppins. Hi, my friend. Thank you for sharing that.
Finally, I've been listening for a few months, but I'm finally feeling like talking to people. So,
Oh, wonderful.
Well, that's
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Melissa. And I saw there was a hand that was raised 3
Betsy.
screens back. Betsy.
Okay, I want to briefly share a dream I had last night, which is a reaction to what's been going on around me. I dreamed I was in a new workplace. I had a new job, and I knew that there were a lot of other people there, that it was a new job for them too. And it seemed like I was in a big building that I was riding a bike through and seeing all these people at their desks. And I knew that some of them agreed with me and some of them didn't. But I wanted to see what I could do to make each of them comfortable. And I was trying to think, shall I give them each a piece of chocolate or whatever? And I settled on a flower finally. But I mean, it felt like a real metaphor when I woke up.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Betsy. Go ahead, Dan. Thank you, Betsy.
Just watching the chat, I wanted to point out that Lori was asked what the podcast was. Maybe you can put that back in the chat. And
Sure.
there's some lovely praise for Lori in the chat as well, if you scroll back a bit.
Oh, I didn't
Thank you,
notice that.
Dan.
Thank you.
Last week, and if you weren't here, we had this quote: "Seriousness is a manifestation of anxiety." Don't memorize it if you didn't see it. But and there's a line through it, and there's a line through it for a reason. Is last week we looked at this quote, and I thought this was a lovely quote: "Seriousness is a manifestation of anxiety," and so is being too lofty is a manifestation of anxiety. And the more we looked at this quote last week, the more we realized, nah, this is kind of bullshit. This quote doesn't hold together. And I was so delighted that, hold on one second, I'm having an audio issue over here. Could you guys stay quieter a little tiny bit? So sorry. Sorry about that. The thing that made me so happy that quote blew up was that's what we do here, is we don't take something as true just because it sounds good at first. We don't take it as true because somebody we respect brought the quote in. Is that we look at the quote, we look at the thing, and we say, is it true? And we look around it from a different angle and we say, no, it doesn't work there. And we correct it and we change it and we fix it. And I was so pleased when I reflected on the failure of the quote. And that's, I think, so important for all of what we're doing. That being said, we have a program. I asked people last week to send in a favorite quote of theirs. And I have a series of quotes that people sent in, and we're going to look at them. And they're going to come up not in any particular order. They're going to come up in the random order in which they are in my folder here. And I asked
Brian,
you, yeah.
can I ask other people if Brian's volume seemed to just go down?
Yes.
It did. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic. How do you think we're going to fix that?
Well, it's a little better.
We will.
Okay, there we go. I think I just fixed it. Did I just fix it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
better.
That was the quickest fix that was wonderful. Good job, team.
We needed a quick fix.
So I'm going to bring some of these quotes up, and they're for us to discuss and to see, does this feel true to us? what does it resonate with us? And as usual, I'll ask people just to be mindful. We have about 50 people online right now. And thank you all for keeping your microphones open so that we can hear you and there can be some response. But to keep in mind that we have 50 people, that we keep our comments somewhat constrained. So and these quotes might or might not be exactly relevant to how you feel today, but here's a quote from Abraham Joshua Heschel, rabbi. He marched with Martin Luther King. He said, "The beginning of our happiness is understanding that life without wonder is not worth living." The beginning of our happiness, and I feel a little bit weird jumping us into a happiness quote at this time, but it's all right. That the beginning of our happiness, well, it might not be so bad actually now that I'm thinking about it a little bit. The beginning of our happiness lies in understanding that life without wonder is not worth living. And I hope that does for you what it just did for me, which is to kick me a little bit into, well, let's have a little bit of wonder.
Yeah.
And if I have a little bit of wonder, like, oh my God, life is amazing. It's miraculous. That it does give me a tiny bit of happiness. Right? I just experienced that for myself. Go ahead, Mary. Tell us about you.
I think that that says to me, you've got to find something that makes you go into a state of wonder. I have, it's an I statement. I have to find something.
Yay, Mary, thank you.
That makes me go into a state of wonder. I find this particularly true in nature. A lone flower coming out of the snow, or, a bird coming near my window where I work. You have to consciously look for things that will just for a moment make you feel better. It's not a permanent fix for the world, but you've got to do it from time to time to help you keep going.
Heschel referred to that. Thank you, Mary, for catching yourself. It's really hard, and thank you for reminding us. It's really hard to change, right? To change a habit, to change a speech structure. It's not. Oh, I understand it, I'm going to do it. It takes a little while. Heschel talked about this wonder as radical amazement. That we have radical amazement can kick us out of the doldrums. Go ahead, Carol.
Heschel said that he went on the march with Martin Luther King, and he knew that John Lewis had suffered a fractured skull because the police hit him. And so he could be afraid, but he chose not to be afraid. He chose to feel that his legs were praying. And I think that he has so much to teach us. And I can't recommend the book Thunder in the Soul strongly enough. It's a wonderful compendium of all of his major quotes.
Thank you, Carol. Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, I was just going to say that I went looking for the quote of that, and I found a poem by him that is perfect for this.
Would you read it for us?
Yeah. God follows me everywhere, weaves a net of glances around me, dazzles my blind back like a sun. God follows me everywhere like a forest. My lips are constantly astonished, heartfelt, mute. Like a child stumbling upon an ancient shrine, God follows me everywhere like a shudder. I yearn for rest, but within me sounds the call, come, see how visions linger in the streets. I stroll about my thoughts like a mystery, down a long corridor through the world, and sometimes, high above, I see the faceless God face the faceless face of God.
Mm-hmm.
God follows me in trams, in cafes. Oh, only with the backs of my pupils can I see how mysteries arrive and how visions transpire. It's from
That's
Essential
beautiful.
Writings, page 93.
That's
Thank
Wow.
you. Thank you, Ron. And I'll make a little plug if you want to stick around after this. So this is being broadcast to YouTube and to Facebook and to rotb.org and Twitch. Thank you very kindly. If you want to continue this conversation after the service, if you're in the Zoom, we go to breakout rooms. And one of them is a poetry room. One of them is a deep dive, and there's some other rooms to go to. But if you want to continue talking about these themes in poetry, stick around. Diana, go ahead.
So this quote made me reflect on the importance of where we train our attention. Where do we train our attention? And
Yeah.
if you can indulge me for a moment, Krista Tippett of On Being wrote this beautiful message this morning. And she said, "This is an age of devastating tumult. It is an age of magnificent possibility. Much is breaking. Much is being born. It is harder for us to train our eyes and imaginations on the beauty and creativity that are so alive in our world than on the narratives of danger and destruction that come to us 1,000 times, 1,000 ways each day." So just training our attention on, allowing the wonder of creativity, transformation, and the painful breaking that goes with that as part of the process.
And let me add to that,
Diana,
Diana. Go ahead,
Diana,
Melissa.
would you be able to put that in the chat, or could we see it?
Sure.
It's so wonderful.
Sure. It
Thank
is
I
wonderful.
apologize.
I'll put it in the chat for you.
I wish I had all my screens today. So I can't share what I can't share. I do want to comment on what Diana was just saying. Yes, we can train our brains on looking for the transformation and what's beautiful. And we also need to hold on to and not go for that full solar spirituality where we don't look at the pain and the suffering and the fear. I would much rather be in joy than in fear, but I have to get through the fears too. Okay, I see some heads nodding.
I mean, she said the two go hand in hand.
Yes. Thank you, Diana.
Yeah.
I don't see. Okay.
Harold, Connie, you guys good?
Yes. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, we got a little extra. No question. You're good. Good. I'm going to take your good to be meaning you're good. And then I had considered playing a game, which was I'm going to name 5 religion outside the box people, and you have to guess, based on this quote here, which one of those 5 people gave that quote. Your choices are, was it, and this might not work at all. This might totally disrupt the flow of what we're doing. Was this quote sent in by Chad and Lisa? Was it sent in by Ruth, by Missy, or by Rob? Take a moment to guess. Was it Chad and Lisa, Rob, Ruth, or Missy? Lock in your answers. Would the real person who sent in this quote tell us who you are?
Which quote?
Well, this Abraham Joshua Heschel quote. Okay, so much for my game. Anyway, let me pivot and just say it this way. Thank you, Ruth, for sending in that quote.
I got it.
You got it. Okay, extra points to you, and you if you guessed it ahead of time.
Okay.
Let me bring in the next quote. This next quote is brought to you. Says, "People who are anxious look at people who aren't anxious as somehow missing the fact that there's a bear at a 10-year-old's birthday party. I'm not missing that fact. I'm missing the belief that my added panic will clarify focus."
Mhm.
Let me cut to the chase. I wrote that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that earlier this week. Yeah.
Let me bring in, if anyone wants to comment on that, or I have a quote that was actually sent in. Here we go. God dwells within you as you. God is not interested in watching a performance of how a spiritual person behaves. God dwells within me as me.
That's nice.
God dwells within you as you. God is not interested in watching a performance of how a spiritual person behaves. God dwells within me as me.
Yeah.
AKA God has no hands but ours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And God, I love this. God is not interested in watching a performance of how a spiritual person behaves.
Yeah, the fake Christianity comes to mind that's been so obvious lately.
Television performances.
Okay. Any other commentary or thoughts on this? This is not going exactly as I thought it was going to go.
That's
But
great.
that's my
Yay.
fault
It's
for
like
bringing it in. My fault for having expectations, right?
No, it's Rabbi,
Go
I
ahead,
have a
Alma.
comment.
Well, hold on, Missy. I got Alma and then Missy.
I don't think I don't think I think you should have brought it. I'm glad you did because it's puts into words how I feel that I haven't put into words myself. And I love the bit. God dwelt within me as me. And I think it's actually very overpowering or empowering. Empowering rather than overpowering. I think it's a brilliant quote.
Thank you, Alma. Anyone else want Missy, you had something to add in. Thank you so much, Alma.
Yeah, I did. I love that quote too. And what it brings to mind for me is the conflict that I sometimes feel in my efforts to be a spiritual person because that's my identity. It's who I am and how I want to be. And then that idea of how we look at being a spiritual person as somebody that needs to fill in the blank, and so that place of recognizing authenticity and my desire to be a good, kind person and not that soul or spirituality that you're talking about, where you just sort of have blinders on and pretend like
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. No, everything's fine. Isn't everything fine? Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah, Alma.
I'm sorry, I'm hogging the conversation. When people say to me, when I say, "How are you?" and they say, "I'm fine," my usual response is, "Yes, but how are you really?" And that's when you get the answers.
Yes.
I love that. That's a simple one. But how are you really? Go ahead, Jack, and then Melissa.
Yeah. God hides from pretense and he abhors hypocrisy the most.
That's very apt. Beautiful, Jack. God abhors pretense. There's the Leonard Bernstein's Mass. There's a beautiful song in it where God loves the simplest. God loves the simple things, for God is the simplest of them all. Go ahead, Melissa.
Oh, there's a lot of performing in my one side of my family, performing to be good spiritual religious people, and it's without thinking about all the difficulty and hate and suffering and ethnic cleansing that people are experiencing right now. And I have to try to love my cousins who who are real MAGA.
Mhm.
Anyway, and it's a really big challenge because we had the sweetest years together as children, and now as adults we're in a war. And I resent the Trump phenomenon for dividing me from my sweet cousin. So I just keep sending them love letters, even though I'm really angry about how they support him. I just keep saying, you, I see you, I still love you. You know, it's hard though. It's really hard.
Melissa, I applaud you. I applaud you for doing that. I do think that's the only way that we change people is not by cutting them off, by defriending people. We're never going to reach them. We're just going to
Yeah.
make silos of human beings separated from
Yeah.
each other. So I
So if
applaud you for reaching out.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, dear. I was gonna send a quote, but I don't. I'm heartbroken that I don't believe it anymore because it's my poet Emily Dickinson said, "All I know of love is that love is all there is." But I don't believe that anymore, and that's really disappointing to me because now I know there's a lot of evil and hate in the world. But I have to hold on to love. I've decided to stick with love, Martin Luther King.
Right, I have decided to stick with love. It's the only option.
Yeah, it has to be a decision for me now. It used to be natural, but it has to be a choice now.
Thank you. More feeder on this quote. I'm going to bring us to the next one. Please hold. Next quote will be with us in a moment. Okay, here we go. Instructions for living a life. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. Mary Oliver.
Yeah, nice.
Instruction for living life. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. 7 simple words. It brings me back to the Heschel quote. The be astonished, pay attention.
Exactly.
Yeah. Folks, I'm going to break from my script. It was a joke just for me. Let me take Dan and Carol, and then I'll come back. Dan and then Carol.
I was just going to say, but the astonished can be about how crappy things are. And tell about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amen.
Oh, that's interesting, Dan. You take it the other way. Pay attention. Gosh, things suck. Be astonished. I'm astonished with how awful people are, and I'm going to tell you about it. Okay, that's a little fly in the ointment there.
How awful
All right.
some people are and how wonderful some people are.
Yeah, yes. No, it's good. It's good.
And we're all mixed.
It's fantastic. Go ahead, Carol. Thank you, Dan.
Eddie Hillesum was on the train going to Auschwitz, and she threw a postcard out of the train, and it said, "We left the camp singing."
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to cry now.
Well, she found God. I mean, when you really find God, nothing can hurt you, not life, not death. She knew where she was going. She knew she wouldn't survive it, and she still had God. And I think that's something we have to really think about.
It reminds me of the Voltaire quote, "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer."
Yeah.
In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. Now, Voltaire also said, and some of you know this was one of my favorites. Go ahead, Ruth.
It wasn't Voltaire, but I can't remember
It
who.
was Camus.
It's Camus. It's Camus.
Camus.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carol.
There we go. There we go. In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. That is Albert Camus, French author. My bad. Voltaire's, I know the next one is Voltaire. Voltaire said, "Life is a shipwreck. We mustn't forget to sing in the lifeboats." Life is a shipwreck. We mustn't forget to sing in the lifeboats. I'm going to have us try something. I don't know how. You know, when we have somebody's birthday, we opt whether or not to sing. I want to sing a song, and I want to ask you to sing along with me. And it might sound horrible. It probably will, but I'm getting choked up just thinking about singing it. If you can imagine, I'm going to hold my own hands. And imagine you holding your hands as though we were holding each other's hands. And the song goes like this. We shall overcome. We shall overcome.
We
shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart,
I
I do believe we shall overcome someday. Let's do one more verse. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
I knew that was the song you were going to say. It's amazing.
Singing saves us.
Thank you all.
Want some real hope? Listen to the sermon that was given at the church in the inauguration. Oh, she is so marvelous and so courageous. She has been repeatedly threatened, but she's bringing truth to power. And it is just a beautiful sermon. It's available on YouTube.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was so nice to sing, Brian. We need to tell the Zoom people to work on their synchronicity so people can sing on but you have such beautiful voices.
It was terrible and beautiful.
It was
beautiful. Just beautiful. Maria, if we can move our attention to those for whom we want to have special light and love.
These are the people to whom we are sending light and love. Ken in Spirit and Joe, Carolyn, Brandon, Flynn, and Porter, Lauren, Brian, Addie, and Lincoln, and the Ludwig and Applebaum families. Shirley W., Lynn S., Sheridan H., Judy Love and her family, Patsy's sister Sue, Ann M., Greg, Tane and Kelly, Emily, Rita W., Bernadette Applebaum, Bertie K., Michael, Carolyn, Nolan, Alex, Savannah, and Ethan, Wilson Björk, the Cohen and Camilla families, Aru Lane Hill, Timothy Travis, Harry, Ebony, Rita S., Alex, Bill and Karen, Jen G., Dominic, Raina and Leah McClure, Dennis and Carol, Linda, Nancy, Bill, Carla and Phil, Jeff, Becca, Yuval, Lorena, and Nicole. If there is another person in our community to whom we can offer light and love, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list on Facebook. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
Thank you, Maria. We'll take a minute of time starting now. Thank you for that minute. Thank you. There was a beautiful quote that was added in the chat that I wanted to put here from Leonard Bernstein. This will be our reply to violence, to make music more intensely, more beautiful, more devotedly than ever. I'm going to ask you to do a task. Now, here's the deal with religion outside the box. I know, and you know, that I have no authority over you, and I can't make you do anything. So, it's a request. Think of somebody who would be delighted to know you were thinking of them. And before bed tonight, send them a note. And if you can feel in you a little good feeling coming up just thinking about doing that, do it for 2 people. The way we're going to get through this, or something that will help us get through all of this, is feeling connected. A few announcements. If you wanted to follow along with Rabbi Brian's How to Keep from Eating Unkosher in 2025, the rule is simple. No food goes in your mouth until the food that's in your mouth is out of your mouth. Okay, the other, I had 2 homework assignments. Where's the other one? Oh, I remember the other one. The other one was to practice when you find yourself, hands on buzzers. Everyone ready to buzz in with the correct answer to this one? When you find yourself with someone who's anxious, the proper thing to do is to
Stop.
Stop.
Sit with them.
just
Listen.
stop.
Act.
Listen.
Just stop. First,
Hold the
stop and
space.
ground you. Yeah, all good
Breathe.
answers.
Breathe.
First, you need to ground yourself. First thing first is stop, ground yourself. Breathe, then tend to them, but first stop. And just the same way that Mary was giving a great example of how learning to do something doesn't happen quickly. we're not going to be able to, the next time we're with someone who's anxious, we might not be able to catch ourselves, and we might 5 minutes into being anxious with them realize, oh shit, I should have stopped first. That's okay. That's learning. Learning takes time and takes practice. You're not all going to be able to do this instantly. And of course, if you can't do it instantly, you should shame yourself terribly.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, you blame it on the dog for eating your homework. Come on.
You blame it on the dog.
Rabbi, can I make an announcement, please?
Yes, please.
We have started meeting. We had a soft opening of the OU2 group, which is for caregivers. It's a support group, and we plan to meet regularly on Monday from 1 to 2 Pacific time and 4 to 5 Eastern time. You people in Mountain and Central will have to figure that out for yourselves. If you're interested, if you put your email in the chat, I'll add you to the list. I think it's going to be a really helpful group for those of us that are involved in caregiving.
Amen.
Thank you. I used the image last week of there are many people who are the caregivers of caretaking village. Like they have a lot of people they take care of. And the question that I have for you is, what are the state of the grounds crew's accommodations? It's fine to take care of other people, but make sure you're also taking care of yourself. Okay, next quote. Oh no. There it is. Resilience isn't bouncing back, it's moving forward with wisdom. What do we make out of that? Resilience isn't bouncing back, it's moving forward with wisdom. Let me try something different. Oh, Melissa has her hand up. Go ahead, Em.
Oh, for me, it just means you can still feel tender and vulnerable or scared, have your feelings, whatever they are, but still move forward with your wisdom. You don't have to bounce back into cheerful.
Right. Thank you, Melissa. Go ahead, Betsy Ann.
My question is around a question is around the word bouncing back. What is going back? When we're moving forward, if we go back, we're not moving forward. So what
I
are we
understand.
learning?
Yeah.
What are we getting energetically and body, mind, spirit from that information that will help us move forward?
So I'm moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. There's some resistance. I have resilience. It isn't bouncing back, but it's moving forward with wisdom. That was a pretty good hand dance interpretation of that. Resilience isn't about bouncing back. It's about moving forward with wisdom. Okay. Proud of myself.
That quote has an assumption that resilience is about learning, right?
Right.
Resilience is about learning. That we learn, right? If you keep bouncing into the same wall over and over again, eventually try the door.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Every setback is a learning opportunity.
Every setback is a learning opportunity. I just wish I didn't have so much to learn.
70% rule.
Oh, yeah.
What is this 70% rule?
It's your rule.
I know it's my rule. I could tell you what it was. I get that. 70% rule is that if 70% of the facts are right, see if you can leave it alone.
Right.
It's really hard to do when you're in conversation with someone else or if you're married to them for 30 years and they tell the same goddamn story wrong yet again.
70% rule also applies to every time I get it wrong, I got to bounce back, and I'm not going to get it back 100%. 70% is good enough.
I love that.
Bounce
Love
forward.
that.
I just
I'm
wanted
gonna
to
do
add
it.
from Shirley Wayness online
Oh, hi,
on
Shirley. Thank you, Holly.
Facebook chat. Yeah, she said we take our experiences into new moments. And she also appreciated your hand movements. She thought your hand dance was good.
Shirley is hopelessly in love with me, and it's perfectly fine because I'm hopelessly in love with her too. Let's take comments from Melissa, Carol, and Ron, and then we'll close up.
Oh, I just want to say we're all hopelessly in love with you, Brian.
Oh, Melissa. Golly gee. Let's let 70% of that in. That's lovely. Go ahead, Carol, and then Ron.
I wanted to mention a book called Holy Resilience, which maintains that both the Hebrew scriptures and the Christian scriptures grow out of overcoming trauma.
Thank you, Carol.
The trauma of being sent to Babylon, the
Yeah.
trauma
Yeah.
of having the second temple destroyed.
It moved
And
things forward. That's what you said. You said that a few weeks ago, I remember, Carol, and I had to apologize the week after that I didn't pick up on how brilliant what you said was, is that when something's broken, it's not that we're necessarily trying to get it back how it was, but there's often an opportunity for something new to grow in its place. And I thank you. The last time you had said that, I jumped over what you had said, and I appreciate you bringing it back. Go ahead, Ron.
I was just struck by a memory of something someone told me when I was 18 relating to, bouncing off the wall repeatedly and then going to the door. We can go on to make new mistakes. And what he said to me was, what I like about you, Ron, is that you don't usually make the same mistake twice. But what's so frustrating is you make so many damn many new ones.
Yeah.
I hope it
And
was less
that's what we need to
frustrating
do
for.
is make new mistakes.
Yeah.
There's
Yes,
more to learn.
I love it. Well, folks, let me try to put everyone on the screen as best I can in this setup. So let's wave. Take all of these people with you for next week. We'll do this again. Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you, Facebook people. And Maria, can you? Oh, now I am. What have I done?